Wright.
Hello. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing great, thank you. How's it going?
We're doing all right. Having a couple discussions here about some different topics. Of course, you got a pretty interesting story yourself. We were just saying you're matched up. You got the same amount of first-round knockouts right now as Jack Dempsey. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Even have my name mentioned as you said it was Jack Dempsey is an accomplishment.
Right. So
you hear me okay? You hear me right?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
All right, good.
So obviously, you're working towards this goal of becoming one of the oldest heavyweights to win a fight, right? And also,
yes, sir.
Champion. So tell us where this all started.
Well, I mean, obviously, you all know I turned pro in 1986, and my career took the different directions it took over the last 28, 30 years. And, about, I guess, 3.5 years ago, I suppose, I got to finish this. I like to finish what I start. And I feel completely ready to do that. And so we started training, working hard, put together a good team. We all work hard together to make it, make every day happen. And one fight at a time, working our way up the ladder. WBC's been great. We have great supporters and believe in what we're trying to accomplish. And it made fights and titles available for us to fight for and win. And so it's going good. I mean, it's just one day at a time, obviously, and one fight at a time. And I feel great. I mean, I feel very, very fortunate. Really.
And I'll tell you, what I was most impressed with looking at your record is not so much, the knockouts and the wins, but the people that you lost to. It seemed like you jumped up at a point in your career and you fought two of the best guys in the world back to back. And just unfortunately didn't do as well as you might have thought, but that was incredible to me. You took that twice in a row.
Yeah, right, yeah, I was a very young fighter back then. My record was 12-1. And I fought Michael Moore, who at the time was 29-0, and the WBO heavyweight champion of the world. It's just the fact you only do your big tough heavyweight, you fight anybody, and short notice even. And those fights were short notice fights, but I wouldn't change it. It was a great experience. They both were great champions. Michael Moore especially, and great fighters. And they did their job.
And actually, if I may ask you, that fight against Michael Moore, was that on the first Bell Holyfield undercard? And if it was, what was the atmosphere like? What was the atmosphere for that?
Fight on the Holyfield Tyson undercards was very, I don't want to overuse this phrase, but electric. I mean, it was just a lot of buzz, a lot of energy in the air. It was exciting. When I fought Michael Moore, it was actually earlier, but when I fought Martin Lopez, I was on the Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield 2 card, the one where Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear off. I was on the undercard that night, and that was crazy.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I guess something happened. I mean, they had kind of a mini riot at the fight. The stands collapsed. It was crazy. It was truly. It was insanity. The corners, the locker rooms. I mean, everything. It came alive when that incident happened. So it was incredible. Again, boxing is such a wonderful sport. I love boxing. So many great athletes, great champions, and to be a part of something so wonderful for so many years. I've been a professional fighter for over half my life, and I can't think of anything I'd rather do than contribute to boxing in a positive way. As long as we continue to do that, we'll be pushing forward, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. And you were a sparring partner for the guy who ended up beating Michael Moore, the first belt for however many years. And I guess still the oldest guy, heavyweight title. What was that like?
George Foreman is an amazing man. Great leader. Just truly a great individual. And a great champion. Also, in his first career, but either way, he was a great champion in both careers. To be a spar with Big George I was with him roughly 18 months off and on, and it was incredible. I was a young man back then, and I'm a young man still, by the way, just for the record. But I was a younger man back then, and George was he's a funny guy. He's a great character, and but very strong, very powerful. I mean, it's a man that can hit you with the jab and make you forget 2 years of memory in one punch. And truly a very, very powerful puncher, and I learned so much from Big George. So much, not just about being a fighter and being a strong puncher, but about being a man and a leader, and and he truly is a good man, George Foreman is.
Well, I got to tell you a funny story now about our interview with Michael Moore years after the fact. Actually, it was a couple of years ago, if not less. We had him on the show. We asked him about that fight with George Foreman. And he said something like, however many minutes were left in the fight, 2 minutes or something, he said, I was 2 minutes away from it being the Michael Moore grill.
That sounds like George. That does sound like me, George. That is exactly like him. Yeah, good funny guy. That guy. Yeah. It was a tough fight for him. But Big George is so strong. In a heavyweight division, pretty much in any division where you got punchers involved, it doesn't. You can lose every round. Like here's a throwback. Big John Tate, Mike Weaver, right? Big John Tate beat Mike Weaver almost to death for 15 rounds. Okay. Well, they were at the end of the 15th round, and Mike Weaver jumped in with a big left hook, a great left hook, clipped John Tate on the chin. The fight was over. Mike Weaver's heavyweight champion of the world. And but by all rights, John Tate was champion. John Tate beat him over 15 rounds. Just got caught with one shot. But that's boxing, That's boxing. So punchers always have a bunch of
It's funny you bring that fight up because we were talking about that just 2 weeks ago on the air. About how it ain't over till it's over. And that was the one fight that I think Tom brought up.
Yeah.
And if you remember that fight, Billy, I think in the 12th round, Weaver was trying to make a bit of a comeback. I remember watching it, and I had him winning that 12th round, but then he comes out for the 15th, and I almost said this jokingly, not believing it. I said to my friends watching with me, I said, well, wouldn't it be a miracle if Weaver could land something? Never dreaming he could do it. What a shock. And I'll tell you what, there's an old cliche, one punch can destroy a career. And I don't think John Tate ever recovered from that, and he didn't have a good ending. It's too bad for him, but it shows what a serious business this is.
It is a very serious business. So you have to be prepared at all times. Fight to the best of your ability every fight. And just, we train to be the best that we can be, and we give our best efforts. I can speak for myself, I do, every time I fight. And my best doesn't get me across the finish line. I still do my best, and I can live with that, it's too familiar. Hopefully boxing, I think boxing is changing in a good way, to where boxers can have a better ending. There's so many stories like, a fighter I fought back in the early 90s, Big James Broad, great fighter, funny guy, great personality. He was a 1980 Olympian, and he was a guy that, for all intents and purposes, died broken, homeless. You know what I mean? And you wonder, how does that happen? How does that happen? When you give boxing your true love, and you give boxing your life, you think there might be a little bit of a safety net somehow for fighters. And nowadays, like I said, WBC is stepping up, and they've got they're putting together pension plans for fighters. And so there's a lot of things changed, a lot of things coming about that are different now than it was 10 years, 15, 20 years, 30 years ago. So I've seen, being a pro boxer, pro fighter for so many years, I've had the opportunity to see, quite a change from how it was in 1986, to how it is today, and still be active, right? Which is great.
Now, it looks like from your record, you went from a guy fighting a lot in the United States to now fighting pretty much all over the world. You got to fight Chile, Bolivia. You went from Missouri to Chile to Bolivia to New Zealand, back to Bolivia. What was that like? Doing all that stuff?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun traveling around the world, and experiencing different cultures, and everyone equally nice for different reasons. And you just got to go where the work is. The expression, got to go where the work's at. And and there's no fights in the USA because there are fights. But I was looking for more meaningful fights and fights where I could actually do something with my career and not become a club fighter. And so not that I'm not saying that club fighting is a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not the direction I want to go. So I opted for, all right, well, I'll travel. I'll go to wherever I got to go to fight. And so I happened my first fight was in New Zealand, and then moved to Chile, and we liked it. So we went to Chile twice. We fought there 4 or 5 times, back in New Zealand. And in between that, we were able to fight the USA a couple of times. Hopefully now we can start coming back to, come back home to fight a little bit, whether it's here in Vegas or whether it's down in Phoenix or wherever it's at. We can be available to fight, and now I think with the rankings coming out the way they are, when I'm moving up in the world rankings with the WBC, I'll be able to fight in my country, fight over here, and defend my titles with the WBC here in the United States of America.
All right. So who out there do you want to fight the most?
Wow, that's such a list. That's a pretty long list. How long for the show? I did right at the top. Right at the top, I want to just continue to move up. And I'll fight any of the top 20 heavyweights. I'm a top 20 heavyweight. And so my door, my phone's on. They can email, Twitter, Facebook, whatever they want to do. We're open to fight anybody in the world in the top 20, and not anybody in the world for that matter. But we're trying to move forward. So fighting contenders at this point is where we're at. There's a lot of guys on the list. I mean, I would fight any of them. There's a lot of guys even in Europe that I wouldn't step for them. I'd fight them in a heartbeat. So not that I don't respect them. I just haven't been this a long time, and I know how to fight. And that's one thing we always tease about when kid about in the gym is I might not be the best fighter, I might not be the toughest, but I'm no walk in the park. At 6'4", 330 pounds, you're gonna have to fight me. So. We love boxing, and that's what we do. We live boxing. All right.
How about Mickey Rourke? I think he needs another opponent.
I think Mickey Rourke is a fine actor, and that's exactly where he should keep his profession focused on. So, and a great everybody. Can't say nothing bad about it. He's living his life and the experience and the things he chooses to experience. And so my hat's off to him, my hat's off to him. I have respect.
All right, so you live in Vegas most of the time, right? Vegas area. How's that environment for you? How do you like that?
Oh, Las Vegas is great. I had my first pro fight in 1986. Pretty much moved to Vegas, late 80s, early 90s. And I've been here ever since. Opened up a little company back in '93. Still open. We still operating now, and in the automotive field. So we do a lot of. It's just nice that I live here. It's my home. My friends live here. My kids go to school here. And I have a lot of friends and a lot of associates here in Las Vegas. And Vegas, you think of Vegas, you think of casinos and all the things that go with Las Vegas. What stays in Vegas or happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Cliches. And believe it or not, there's actually there's actually a community here that's pretty full of amazing things to do and amazing people around. I mean, there's so many activities to do here. So Vegas is great because there's so much to do. I don't mean just the shows on the Strip. I mean everywhere. You've got canyons, Red Rock. I mean, there's so much to do here that we never have nothing to do for sure.
And I'll tell you what, Billy, it seems to me, I know that you have quite a fan base there, because I remember the first time I seen you was, I think it was early 2007, and there was a card at South Point.
Yes, sir.
And you were introduced there, and I was asking, and a lot of people there knew you. You just had that excitement about you. There was a buzz there, and I was intrigued by that. So, hey, I mean, congratulations on what you've achieved so far, and congratulations on your hard work. I mean, I just love your attitude, your mindset, and you got the excitement. So hopefully, if you can get some fights here in this country, there'll be a little more publicity coming. But I think you're going to make a good run at it.
Yeah, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm very grateful for you having me on the show. Your show is great. We love your show. We do. So thank you. Again, I'm very grateful every day. I say thank you on my stars. I look at the stars every night and go, thank you. I got lots of lucky stars to thank. So.
Who's the toughest guy you ever fought? Would you say?
Oh wow, there's a question. Well, they're all tough. You know, people think that one fighter's not tougher than another. They're all tough on any given day. Any given day, any fighter could be king of the world, and we all know that. So, having said that, you know, my pro debut was on a Roger Mayweather undercard here in Las Vegas at the Sahara Hotel. Okay, I'll tell a story really quick. I fought this kid named David Brooks, and I tell you what, we fought. It was a 4-round fight, and we beat each other from ring post to ring post. You know, I knocked this kid down every single round. He got up, and he didn't get up hurt. He got up more determined to beat me up. And I was like, oh, my goodness, I'm going to fight. And so it was my pro debut, and the crowd was in such a frenzy, they threw money in the ring. They actually stood up and throwing money in the ring. I'm like, I want to pick up that money, pick up. That was my pro debut. I think I made $400 in my first. We probably paid $600 up out of the ring, so I mean, it was crazy. You know, so that was my pro debut. That was a pretty tough fight, you know. But tough fighters, I mean, Michael Moore is a very sharp puncher. I mean, extremely sharp puncher. George Foreman is extremely strong and powerful. I sparred quite a bit with Riddick Bowe, again, a very strong uppercut, terrific, powerful jabs. Frank Bruno, another guy I sparred with, is incredibly strong, incredibly great, good left hook. So every one of them, I mean, it's hard to say, you know, who's tougher than another. You know, so but they're all. I mean, I've been in the ring with some killers, and so you know, they've all taught me one thing or another. I tell you what, before I fought James Brown, I used to spar with him, right? This guy used to beat me up in the gym every time we sparred. I'd have a bloody nose and fat with him. And then when they told me I had to fight him, I was like, what? I got to fight that guy? Oh, man, I was scared to death, you know, but that's boxing, right?
You know, Billy, it's funny that you say that, because one of your former opponents, as we mentioned, Michael Moore, was one of our guests, and he responded to that question, who's your toughest opponent? He said all of them.
Yeah.
And I never forgot that answer. That's just a beautiful way to word it. And as far as George Foreman, Scott Ledoux once told me that Foreman hit him so hard. He said Foreman hit so hard he would make your nose bleed when he missed. Okay.
That is that kind of power. He does have that kind of power.
Yeah.
Yes, awesome.
Now, how about your favorite punch? You got a favorite punch?
Yeah, my favorite punch, you know, I'm a body puncher. I like to punch guys in the shoulders and the arms. Rocky Marciano was one of my all-time favorite fighters, and his style is so incredible. And, you know, he was a smaller man, and but he still was such a devastating puncher. He would hit guys in the arm, and they would think their arms are broken. You know, and so I would say body punches. You know, I like to punch in the shoulder and try to dislocate it. I don't mean that in a violent way. This is boxing. It's boxing in the ring. You know, I would say like when I fought John Welliver, and I broke his arm right above the elbow. He was southpaw. He was putting that in his palm with that right jab, and I just kept throwing a left hook and hitting him in the back of the arm, and eventually couldn't fight anymore. You know, so I love that. I love watching grown men quit when you hit them in the body.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I keep saying somebody should just punch him in that shoulder a bunch of times. So
Right.
I can't keep.
Right.
Anyway,
Exactly right.
Good with that shoulder roll anymore if he couldn't do that muscle.
Well, that's the thing is people get so head hungry, and they don't understand that. Like a Floyd Mayweather, who by the way is a very great fighter, great fighter. This guy, fast. He's got all the entire package. Okay, and when you lead to the shoulder, and so a smart, powerful fighter is going to just slug that shoulder, not worry about the head because that shoulder will stop moving, and then he won't be able to move that head without a shoulder, and then whoever he's fighting is going to have their way with him. So, for any future fighters who are going to fight Mayweather, you might want to think about that.
That's a great point, Billy. What I always said was, and the guys that I think, up until really the Madonna fight, the first fight back last May, they came really the closest to doing it. The two guys, Oscar De La Hoya and Jose Luis Castillo in the first fight, which a lot of people thought Castillo won, because both of them, they did it a little bit differently. Castillo was just like Madonna, just a lot of relentless pressure and just throwing as many punches as he could. De La Hoya, and this is what, and I said this, what he had to do to win was use his long jab, throw it hard, but instead of aiming at the head, aim it right at the point where the shoulder connects to the pectoral muscle. And you do that to the lead shoulder, you're going to knock him off, you're going to actually disable his left arm, and you're going to knock him off balance and he can't use his right. And you back him up, you hurt him, you confuse him. De La Hoya did that for 8 rounds, and then he stopped. He was like, it wasn't the time to use the jab anymore. It was working more. Why do you stop? But I think Mayweather is lucky that Charlie Goldman isn't still alive, because he trained somebody just like to train Marciano, and that's what he's saying. Hit those arms. Hit those arms, hit those shoulders. You know what? Who cares if you hit a shot or two in the kidney? Who cares? What's the referee going to do? Say, don't do that again. But you got the damage done. Hit the shoulders, hit the biceps, hit everything you can that doesn't move.
Well, yeah, those aren't illegal punches. The arms and shoulders are all in play. So you can hit the guy. You can punch him in the gut if you want to. Those aren't fouls. That truly, people don't understand that. When you bump your arm against something, it's painful. So imagine if you got a person punching you in your arm, punch after punch after punch after punch. You got to mix it up and travel it around a little bit so you don't get predictable. You know what I mean? And then just put them together. And it's so easy to lead a fighter right where you want them when you get them uncomfortable. How do you make them uncomfortable? Is by beating up that body. Then they're uncomfortable and they stop thinking about stuff. They think about, man, every time this guy touches me, it hurts. So, that's a partner game plan. So, my favorite punch, jab in the shoulder, right hand in the shoulder, hook in the back of the arms, and then body shots. Those straight shots to the heart, left up to the liver. Those are wonderful punches. I love every one of them. And a good right cross to the chin, too. I don't mind that one either. So.
Okay. Sounds like a very good buffet.
Yes, exactly. Right. Exactly.
Rocky Marciano, because we're all big fans of his, of course, and Tony's got a pretty close connection to his history. He's got the original program from the fight with Jersey Joe, of course, the infamous one, the famous one.
Right.
And I've read a lot about him. I met his whole family. I used to live in the same town where he grew up, Brockton. I lived in the town next door, so I actually worked at one point for the Marciano Foundation. And one of the best things I learned about him over the years is that he always fought at around 185 to 189 pounds. And it seemed like he was always fighting a guy that was way bigger than he was. But he just had that way about him, and he fought from that awkward crouch. A lot of his power, because of that stand, came from the baseball. A lot of people said he would have been a better baseball player than a boxer if he had taken that route. He had a lot of power at that. And there's a place called George's Cafe that has pictures of him everywhere. And every time you see him with a bat, he's got the biggest smile on his face. that bat, the way he flexed his arms, I mean, that's where his power was developed on the baseball field. And the way he would uncork that swing is the exact same way he would throw that knockout right-hand punch from the crouch.
Right.
And that was the way he was able to fight so many bigger people. If you notice, when you try to punch down on something, you got a lot less force than when you try to punch up.
Right. Right. Of course.
Things when you're punching up. You really can't do much punching down. So all those taller guys had a lot of difficulty with that. The other great story about Rocky I remember reading about was when Charlie Gold was trying to teach him about timing, and he brought a Phillips cap to their lunch table that he had, and he was trying to show him how the cap looks for the string. And of course, that's how Rocky would have eventually developed his cap. The cap pawed the string before he actually strengthened it. That's how Rocky got jab. And that's how he learned the lesson, by watching the cat.
Wow. That's incredible. You know, I know when I first turned pro, Gene Fulmer was my trainer back when I first 7 pro fights. And another legendary type fighter. Gene Fulmer was a great champion and always an underdog and always came out, you know, champion of the world. So, but he used to make me take a baseball bat. There was this great big round thing, must have weighed 400-pound heavy bat, right? Made out of like, I don't know, it was made out of some kind of leather that was thick. And I mean round after round, had to swing that baseball bat low and high, high and low, low and high, high and low, over and over and over and over to develop hip rotation and that torque power that you get when you throw your hose like Rocky Marciano. You know, so swinging a baseball bat was great training, and I still use that training today. And I attribute a lot of that working speed and the hook speed is because you're able to, when you practice swinging a baseball bat over and over and over and over, that's what makes you have a fast hook. You have those fast hooks or those fast overhands, just like Rocky Marciano, like you said, like you're a great baseball player. So it's just funny you said that because that's the kind of training that I started with back in 1996 with Jim Fulmer.
Maybe he knew that thing about Rocky. Somebody told him that along the line that developed. That was one of his secrets. Another one of his secrets was he ran everywhere. We talked to one of his best friends not too long before the vet died. We had his friend Nicky Sylvester on the show. Grew up with him. This guy told us so many great stories. And, you know, he was telling us how they used to run every pitch. Guys would run from Boston, the Boston area, Brockton, to Providence, Rhode Island. In dress shoes. Not sneakers. In dress shoes, according to this guy. And I mean, how are you going to disagree with this guy? Well, he's obviously a very special. So, that's what people did back then. Everybody had a car, so they actually literally ran like 30 miles.
True.
Well,
I mean,
so I run it back.
That goes back to those things. It's not like good old-fashioned training, right?
Right, yeah, road work was key to him. He had to his legs.
Yeah, sure, I can't know that. And then strong your legs are the better your chin is because you get cracked, your legs won't go. They won't go with you on you. You know what I mean? They'll stay strong for you, and you're able to get up, keep on fighting. You know, guys with weak legs, they can't do that. What is that for you?
And obviously we know Rocky's one of your favorites. We usually always ask everybody that we have on the show, do you have any other all-time favorites or people that you like to watch today, you have to watch when they have a fight?
There's a lot of great fighters. I mean, some people one over another. Rocky Marciano obviously is right there. There's so many great fighters. I mean, Evander Holyfield, what a great fighter. I mean, here's a guy that probably skill-wise was like maybe middle of the road skill-wise, not in a bad way. You know, if you understand what I'm saying. Here's a guy that has, because of so much heart and determination, it wouldn't have mattered if it's the best fighter in the world or the worst fighter in the world. He's still the champion of the world. on pure heart and he don't have any fear. He'll fight anybody, anyway. Doesn't matter big or small or strong. It doesn't make a difference. Ivana was a great fighter. Roy Jones Jr. I think is probably how do you say? I mean, here's a guy that could hit you more times before you can move your feet than probably any other fighter in that time frame. In old time fighting, I'd have to say like Willie Pat. I mean, here's a guy that fought every week just to eat food. I mean, how many fights did this guy had? Like 400 fights before it was all over with, right? Something like that. And can you imagine fighting? I would love to fight every week, but I can't imagine fighting every week. But can you imagine fighting every single week? You know what I mean? Like you're like, whoa, these are fights. So there's so many great fighters in all the different weight divisions. Julio Cesar Chavez was he 84-0 before he lost his first fight? Something like that, right?
When I had the lists with when I found out about Jack Dempsey having 26 first round knockouts, I had a whole list of statistics with all these answers to your questions.
Yeah.
Right now.
So there's so many great fighters. Jack Dempsey, there's another great fighter. James Braddock from the same time frame, kind of. So back in those days, it was a different kind of fight. I mean, these guys, they were real fighters, real guys, and not that we're not nowadays. It was just a different time. I mean, no technology, like you said, they ran in dress shoes. Imagine the shin splints and to overcoming that kind of. So many things that we take for granted nowadays with Reebok and all the different things that we have. These comfortable shoes and comfortable gyms, comfortable gloves, comfortable hand wraps. You know what I mean? Like we're pampered a little bit nowadays, quite a bit compared to those days. And but yet we're still great champions. Many fighters define their careers by the decisions they make as men in the ring and men out of the ring. Being great leaders to the community. Helping our youth, giving back in ways that only champions can give back. Because of the platform that we receive when we reach that status. And so when you have that kind of platform, not that it's a responsibility, I look for it. To me, it's a privilege to be able to give and do things for other people, and especially those less fortunate than myself or anybody for that matter. So it's a privilege, it's a gift to be able to be a professional athlete at a world-class level and have the opportunities and have the incredible experiences that we have. It's a privilege. So in life, it's a privilege, I think, to give that back, pass that down. My son Zach Wright got a couple amateur fights. He's undefeated as an amateur, and he's been. All my kids know how to box pretty good, but Zach wants to pursue it, so he's going to fight amateur the rest of this year, and into next year, and we're going to talk about turning pro maybe towards the end of next year at cruiserweight. So, and so we have like that's just what we're supposed to do. And there's so many young kids, and there's so many young men that need leadership, that need responsibility, like people to teach them on responsibility and accountability. But that's a whole other conversation. So, it's like I said, I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful to be talking to you guys right now. I'm like, wow, they really want to talk to me? I mean, it's just incredible. You guys want to talk to me, have me on your show. So thank you. I'm so grateful. It really is a privilege, and I'm glad to be a fighter that merits this conversation, I suppose. So what do you guys think? Now, Bert Cooper was always an underdog, and Bert Cooper was a sensational puncher, and a great fighter. I think with so many fighters. Let me qualify.
Bobby, don't train like Bert Cooper though. I heard Bert Cooper trains now while he's out for a run. He drinks a 40 instead of a bottle of water.
He has different habits probably than he's supposed to have. For sure. For sure. A teammate of mine that told me that. Wow. There's so many tough fighters out there. There's so many tough fighters in every weight division that just didn't get the right break, or didn't have the right handlers, or didn't have enough belief in themselves to push further. They could have been truly legendary fighters, and you wonder who those fighters are when you see fighters in the gym, or you spar with a guy that gives you like a double handful of serious work, and you're like, well, how come this guy isn't doing more? This guy's tougher than crud. Maybe work to death just to survive against a sparring partner, so a supposed sparring partner, and they're incredible fighters. I remember, I don't know whatever happened to Lauren Ross. Lauren Ross this is probably back in the, I want to say, early to mid 90s. Was probably a true light heavyweight, cruiserweight, but he fought a heavyweight. This guy was so fast. I was sparring with this guy one time. He must have hit me 13 times before I even knew I got hit. I'm like, well, I'm not a slow guy. I was like, well, what in the world? I could not understand how someone could be so much faster than me at heavyweight. So it's incredible. The great talents that are in these gyms that just don't get the opportunity to be spotlighted. If that makes sense.
Well, it was years ago, but last time I was in a gym I hadn't been to already, and they were trying to figure out who to throw me in with. They put me in with this 45-year-old guy who just kind of hung out there, and he gave me tougher fights than anybody in there most of the time. And Tony talks about these gym rats all the time. These guys that have been in the gyms he's been in. Are the same way. They don't look like a lot, but if you help, you get in the sparring.
Right. Yeah, they big business get around.
But get back to you. What would you say you love most about the sport of boxing?
Say it again.
What would you say you love most about the sport?
Oh, what I love most about boxing? It's a team sport that only the fighter can fight. If that makes sense. And so I love being part of a team, but I love being in control of or having the ability to be a champion because I'm a champion. But it's a family. I don't know. I mean, that's a wide question. That's kind of a broad question. There's so many things to love about boxing. I love my team. I love my family. I love boxing. Boxing has been the opportunity for a person like myself that maybe didn't have other choices or other options to go to and carve out a humble career and an opportunity late in life to rewrite history in boxing, not just for myself, but for a lot of other fighters. And so boxing is very unique in the freedoms that it allows individuals to make good choices and have the perseverance to not quit, not give up, not be afraid, and just, boxing's great because if you do your best in boxing, you typically will be the best.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I don't love about the sport is that, no matter how good you are at it, when you just tell people that you box, you get more respect. They look at you differently. It's like, it's a club that not too many people join. I'll say that.
Right.
So, it's a bit more for being part of it, I think. And nobody messes with you. Maybe if you don't know, somebody push you up, but you say nobody could. You know what you do.
I won't argue with you. That's what I said.
Billy, I have to ask you a question about your training. Because, when we're in our early 20s, there's no limit on anything. I mean, you could be in the gym for hours, run forever, be out all night and all that crazy stuff. But when you get older, I mean, I'm a tad bit older than you, and, when you get to a certain age, all of a sudden this ain't working quite as good, And I look at Bernard Hopkins as someone I'm just in awe of because he says he's learned how to train smarter rather than train longer because you have to make some adjustments. Now, Are you kind of in tune with that, or have you adjusted your training over the years? How do you?
Yeah, for sure. You know, Bernard is a phenomenal fighter, phenomenal champion. He's a funny guy too. You know, so he's a little guy. And whether no matter the age, whatever your age group is, the 20, 30, 40, or 50, little guys train different than big guys anyway. You know, heavyweights always train a little different. So, but I have had to adjust. You know, you do adjust. I mean, you can't run 10 miles a day. You know, it's a little different. I mean, you know, it's a little different approach. You know, we're not running down that hill, so to speak, nowadays. You know, but we are getting down the hill, for sure. You know, I find that I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm kind of fortunate. I mean, my body's preserved and I recover pretty quick, and you know, I get the normal aches and pains of any pro athlete, or any human being for that matter that's busted up a little bit every time it rains or gets a little cold. You know, you'll feel your ankles or hips or whatever, back, whatever your ailment is, and a little more than normal. And I suppose some of that might be age, but it doesn't affect me. You know what's crazy? There'll be days I feel like I can barely walk, right? But when I get in the ring, something magical happens. I don't feel anything. And I can shuffle and step and move and bounce and throw punches and go all day long. And I think a lot of it is because I love the boxing. I love to do what I do. So it's not like, oh man, I got to do this again. And so it makes it worse. You know, it's something I look forward to doing. I look forward to boxing. I look forward to training. And so it makes the pain not seem so much like pain. But I don't know if that makes sense at all.
But no, exactly. I mean, I think of a lot of it is just muscle memory also. But you've been doing it for so many years, you just kick into it. And let me ask you, have you made any changes to your eating habits, the nutrition? Does that play a bigger role now than it did? Or?
Oh, that's a funny question. You know, my trainers and even my family have a way. I would probably go to The Biggest Loser be on that show. Try to learn some discipline, right? But as it is, you know, I struggle with it. I struggle with diet. You know, I love my lemon pies. I love pumpkin pie, and I'm not afraid to say it. You know, I'll sit down to a triple cheeseburger instead of a single.
How about In-N-Out Burger? You like it?
Yeah, I have some favorites for sure. Yeah. And I'll sit down to a double monster style, and you know, down it with a couple of milkshakes. You got to taste it with a couple of milkshakes. Or this is
oh yeah.
You know, what's funny, when I was younger, I would say, I'll run a mile or two. I'll eat what I want and just train hard. You know, and when you're younger, you can say that. When you get older, your body, you will still be in shape, but your body doesn't want to have a six-pack. It wants to just kind of have a grandpa belly, you know? And, so I struggle with that. It's frustrating because I know the public, they need to see a six-pack to believe it, you know? If you don't have abs, you can't be a champion for some reason. And, you know, so we're working on that. That's a work in progress. My diet, my nutritional plan is a work in progress, for sure.
Well, there you go. I think that's the way to do it. I mean, I think if you do anything drastic, I just don't think that works. I think it's a step at a time. You make a few minor changes, and you know, knowing you're not going to be perfect, but stay on the path of improvement. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Being out there in Vegas myself for a while, for a couple of years, I know that having every restaurant you could possibly think of out there doesn't help.
No, and they're open 24 hours a day, so it doesn't. Elvis Presley used to fly here. Elvis Presley used to fly here on his private jet, like at 2 o'clock in the morning, to get his favorite snack. You know what I mean? So I feel the heat's pain. You know what I mean? So. It calls to you. You'll be asleep, man. Out of a dead sleep, it'll wake you up. Billy, come to the bridge. You know what I mean? So, I'm working on it. You know, They got the good plays out here, so.
And I like your explanation of how you get in the ring and everything goes away. It reminds me of how Freddie Roach says his Parkinson's disease goes away. He gets it right and that's what made
It's
it.
amazing, right? And it's true too. If you watch him in the ring, like his functions change, and he is better. I mean, maybe not 100%, but Freddie Roach is an amazing individual, amazing trainer, tough fighter back in the day when he was fighting, and you're right. I mean, and he knows it. Like any true fighter, when you get in that ring, like you don't feel it no more. Like I don't know. I mean, for me, maybe it's just true. I don't know if they're champions or fighters or what it is, but for me personally, if I can speak for myself, when I get in that ring, it goes away.
Yeah, I call it the switch, because it's happened to me more often than not outside the ring. But when something happens, it just turns into instinct. There's no thought involved. You're just going after your instincts. What you did when you were a caveman is coming out all of a sudden.
Right.
And just react. Like, if somebody provokes you to a point, like usually when you're a fighter, you don't want to get into a fight on the street.
No,
especially when you're a fighter. You don't want to hurt your hand. You don't want to get in trouble with the law because you have deadly weapons in each fist.
Yeah, there's no answer with violence. Violence is not the answer to anything. I'd rather buy you. Let's go to Marie Callender's and get some pie and ice cream. You know what I mean?
You have that situation where somebody provokes you and that switch flips. You'll notice that you perform better than you'd ever perform if you knew it was coming. Because you got surprised, and you had to just use your instincts. And I talked to a lot of fighters about this same thing, and they're all like, "Yeah, I did the same thing." We have a different switch than other people, I think. If you're into fighting, it's just that much better, right? That's what it takes to do it. You have to get hit that first time to really have the switch flip and forget about it. What am I going to do next? Just let it flow.
Exactly. Then it's on a crack. You flip the switch, and you're like, okay, cool, it's on now. Let's fight. I remember not my '07 fight, but my next comeback, the next fight I had to finish my second career, if you will. I was fighting a guy. It was a last-minute switch. I had another guy, but I can't remember the opponent's name. They switched me to this guy, big, tall basketball player, I think, or something. It was in Carolina, North Carolina, and I think it was in Tar Heel or something. I don't even know what he was. This guy was like 6'9", in southpaw, and I'm like, what in the world? Man? All right, come on, bro, let's rock and roll, right? So I run out there, and I'm thinking to myself, am I getting punched in the head right now? And because this guy, seriously, I have a photo of me. I'm against the ropes, and I'm ducking a punch or slipping a punch. His hand is going by my head, so that's a good 8 inches or 10 inches, right? And this guy's probably 4 feet away from me. And I'm like, what in the world? So, I mean, obviously, and so this guy hits me like 10 shots. I take a knee. I'm like, what in the world? We're fighting. Oh, we're fighting. Oh, we're going to fight now. I see. I'm in a fight. Oh, yeah. I'm here to fight. And the switch flips. And I jumped up and obviously I knocked him out, but it takes it. You got to get cracked sometimes by knocking more than once to wake you up a little bit. Go, all right, come on, we're fighting. Get up, And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling.
So I know we saw a clip of you on YouTube. Looks like you were coming out with a reality show. Is that everything off the ground? Is it still in the works? What's going on with that?
Yeah, 100% still in the works. Again, my team, we're waiting for the right time. Obviously, I think if I'm a top 10 heavyweight, it's a lot more plausible show than if I were number 40 in the world, or not even ranked for that matter. And so I think timing is incredible. It's incredibly important in that process. And that's, I think, and we're close. We're close, and it's on the table again. And it was nice to we have all that footage from back then, because that's when I kind of first started these fights, these last 13, 14 fights. And now we have highlights and training footage since then till now. So it'll be a good journey for people to watch to see. I actually what takes place every day when you're in your late 40s, going to be 50, and trying to accomplish something so lofty as becoming heavyweight champion of the world at 50 or 51 years old. And that's what we're doing. I mean, my life is incredibly interesting. 8 kids, 10 grandkids. Yeah, and 5 babies, mamas, and they're all. Yeah, I know there wasn't much TV back then, but listen, they're all they're incredible people, incredible women. My children, incredible. The mothers of my children are incredible women. These women will sit together. They like me, want what's best for the kids. And although I'm not the easiest guy to be living with 24 hours a day, we all have one thing in common, that's loving our kids, and we love our kids. And and it shows. It shows. These little kids, they have been indulged their entire lives with love. So, and we're fortunate. I'm fortunate. Again, being a dad is a privilege. Being a grandfather is a privilege. I was just over the holiday. Most of my kids came down. A bunch of my kids came down, and just to lay around with the grandkids, take little naps with my grandson. And it's crazy. But you got to remember now, my youngest is only 5, so I'm not that far away from having infants myself. To have grandchildren or infants, and so it's remarkable. It's remarkable. My life is a lot of fun. It's very diverse and a lot of fun. I have a lot of friends that are fun, and I live in Vegas. What can I say? I mean, we have a lot of fun. We don't do the nightlife stuff, but we do definitely have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like you'd be a better role model than that Richard Rawlings dude from Fast and Loud, always drinking the beer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, there's I haven't found. I don't think anybody at this point has found the equation to eternal happiness or a cure for cancer or a cure for some terrible thing at the bottom of a booze bottle or at the end of something else. So I don't know. I haven't. When I was a youngster, unfortunately, I did party with the best ever back in those days, but I don't recommend it. One of the choices, if I could change, I probably would. And but it's been a long time. That's some 20 years ago. And we grow up and turn into men, and men make different decisions.
Yeah, my decision to stop drinking came when I blacked out at a family party and took my uncle through a window. I don't remember it.
Oh. Well, that would be a good motivation right there, for sure, right? Yeah, that's good motivation.
I don't need this. I mean, it was bad. I didn't throw him through it. It was an elbow window. It was bad.
Yeah, well, you said, yeah, it's enough to make you go, maybe I'm doing, And, there's a lot of people that have their life, and I mean, everyone's obviously, we live in America, we're free to do as we wish, maybe a little too much. And, but there's so much, I mean, me personally, I just enjoy too much. I want to be coherent. I want to know what I'm doing. I want to feel what I'm living through, and I want to truly get every drop of enjoyment out of everything I do. And I know that with the open mind and awake, I won't have to worry about not remembering what I do or what I live through.
All right, well, we've covered a lot. One question we always like to ask towards the end is there some place we can find you out there on the internet? I know you're not probably, doing everything the young kids are doing on the web these days, but there's have to be some...
That's funny. That's funny. I'm an old guy. We're gonna have to spar you and me. You can't keep calling me old. In the ring. I'll show you how old I am in the ring. That's what I want to tell everybody. I'll show you how old I am in the ring. So come on, get in the ring. Yeah, you know what? We do. No, I can't say that I'm responsible for it. My son Zachary and all my kids are equally responsible for my Twitter. We have Twitter, Bronco Billy Wright. Twitter, Instagram, Billy Wright. You can find me Billy Wright on Facebook. So we have all this stuff, and I respond as fast as I can to the messages and stuff we receive. So if you go on Instagram and if you want to share photos and videos and stuff, you go on YouTube, type in Bronco Billy Wright on YouTube, and I mean, there's a lot of training videos. There's a lot of fights and clips and highlights, pictures and different stuff. You know, Google always works. Bronco Billy Wright. But there's all that stuff. We actually do have all those things up and running, and so you're more than welcome. Please come follow us and be part of our journey. Be part of this experience. It's amazing. It's remarkable. You know, and again, I'm very grateful. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I am truly, truly grateful.
No problem. Another question I wanted to ask too. I'm a big truck fan. I used to have an 86 F-150, so I'm familiar with the Bronco style and all that. I had a buddy of mine who worked at a truck accessory company with me that just drove around Broncos. What's your fascination with that vehicle, and how did it come to be your nickname?
Okay, that's a good one. This is back in the early in my career, and I had a 1978 Ford Bronco, the big round body. And, of course, it was jacked, all that kind of stuff. And, this is Al Bernstein. We're at a fight. My friends call me Bronco because of the Bronco, and then me being from Utah, so I must be a cowboy, So Al Bernstein was like going, Bronco Bill. Right? Al Bernstein's actually one started calling me Bronco Bill. And it just kind of stuck, because I think my third or fourth fight was on ESPN. And so Al Bernstein was ESPN back then. And it stuck, and I've never been able to shake it. I mean, I love Ford Broncos. I still have one today. So that'd be one of their favorite vehicles. I like big trucks, and I'm not much I'm a big guy, so Porsche Billy didn't really work. So we went Bronco Billy. It worked out better.
Yeah, I guess. All right, well, chatting with you, and sounds like you've got a lot of career left to go, and wish you the best, of course. Take good luck, but I don't think you need it.
Well, I can't wait to do with you guys. So please, anytime you guys want, let me know, and I'd love to be on with you. And anytime you'd like to go a couple rounds, let me know. And long as you take it easy on me. Remember, I'm an old guy. Take it easy.
I will be traveling to Vegas sometime in the next few years, so I might take you up on that just to see how good I still am.
Come on, man. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Maybe next time I'm out, I'll give you a call, Billy. You can spell the real old guy. Next year I'll be ready for Medicare. Boy, what would that be like? Like I said, if we could line up something with me and Mickey Rourke, it would be, ladies and gentlemen, a combined 126 years in the cage. Billy, what I really like about you got a great sense of humor. And I think if you don't have that, what do you got? If nothing else, that gets you through things. But, hey, age is a number, buddy. We'll be cheering for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. You have a great, safe holiday season, okay?
You too.
Thank you.
There you have it, Bronco Billy Wright. Covered a lot with him. Great guest.
That was fun. That was fun.
I'm telling you, that'd be a great reality show.
Exactly. I mean, I'm telling you, he has the personality, because that night out there at South Point, there was just a buzz in the crowd when he was announced, and I really didn't know his background, but, man, I'm telling you, that could really go over, I think.
Yeah, we were kind of glossed over it, but, right after he fought Michael Moore, he fought Franz Botha, who was also undefeated at the time. So you go from Moore to the White Buffalo, and on to Moore. And he had a knockout loss back in '98 to Tony Tucker when Tony was 56 and 7. And the guy he fought before that was a guy named Jack Jackson, who was 1-22. So he's had a lot around, but very impressive. I mean, that's what he
knockout.
Yeah, well, I'll say one thing. You can't say Billy was ducking anyone, or is now. I mean, that's amazing. Botha really was. I think Botha was always underrated for some reason, but I don't know. He had definitely had some skills. The White Buffalo.
Okay, so I guess now's a good time to go over this uniform issue thing for a couple minutes.